EvaraVoices welcomes you all for this week's episode with our guest, Jelena Ostrovska. She is a content marketing strategist, business coach, and creator of the Content Confidential, a signature program designed to help entrepreneurs uncover what's missing in their content and build a strategy that actually works. With over a decade of experience, Jelena is known for her sharp strategy, storytelling expertise, and detective like ability to diagnose content gaps and turn chaos into clarity. She helps coaches, service providers, and brands create intentional content that grows their community, deepens connection, and drives conversations without gimmicks, fluff, or recycle templates. She is someone who's very, very inspiring because actually, I have to add something here. Um, I connected with a lot of guests. Everybody said okay at first, but they were taking time. And Jelena sent me a message saying, giving up is not an option. So that's the tagline we begin with today. And I welcome Jelena Ostrovska. Jelena, please unmute yourself and we would like to see your beautiful face.
Hello, sorry, I wasn't hearing you. I was trying to make sure my technology is working. Nice to meet you.
Okay. Okay. Welcome to our show, EvaraVoices. Evara means God's gift, and all our guests are God's gift truly. And you have been so inspiring. I'm forever indebted to you for that. Please introduce yourself. Say something about you, because I've already introduced you, which you will see later in the recording, and then we'll jump into the questions.
Hey everyone, my name is Jelena Ostrovska. Some people call me Jelena, some people call me Jay. I've been in digital marketing for over 10 years at this point. I've done network marketing, I've done affiliate marketing, I've gotten certified as a business coach. I've done lots and lots of marketing over the last 10 years. And yeah, now I'm really excited to bring on my expertise here to Vanita's show.
Wonderful. Thanks for coming, and let us jump into our questions straight away, because I don't want to make everybody wait. It is like it's your journey, but of course, um, to make it more connected, we're going to have these questions. First, begin with content creation and why it is important for growing our business, especially in today's world, because everybody is connected virtually. We no longer do physical business. So it's a content which speaks, please.
Yeah, of course. One of the things that I started doing really early on when I first started in business in my network marketing journey, I basically talked to everybody that I knew about my business, about with my classmates. I even prospected my teachers.
Mhm.
They all told me that I was crazy, and then eventually I ran out of people to talk to, right? So I had to go to Google and find out how do I build a business online. And one of the things that stood out for me was content creation. And once I discovered the power of it, that's been literally the thing that allowed me to kind of break through the noise in the online space in on social media, because I realized, okay, so if I'm posting content on social media, it's a way to get noticed. It's a way to, get the attention of potential customers, potential clients.
Right.
And yeah, it's played probably the biggest role in my business so far.
That's wonderful. Talking of business strategy, what, in your opinion, causes a good business to collapse? Why do businesses fail? That's the question, actually.
Yeah, I would say, especially today with AI and everything happening with the technology, there's been a lot of businesses that have been forced to shut down because one, they never innovated. So
Mm.
if you are not incorporating AI in any way, shape, or form to at least speed up some of your workflows, I believe that's one of the reasons, not innovating. Another reason is not prioritizing the connection with your audience, because that is something that you cannot outsource to AI, and especially customer service and making sure that you take care of your customers and clients, you prioritize communication because AI keeps us disconnected, but the human to human interaction, even if it's online through, a Zoom conversation like this,
Absolutely.
we have to prioritize that because people crave connection today.
Absolutely. And what is your niche uh, way of how you look at it? Like, how do you design the brand marketing, or why is the brand more important than the business itself? What creates a business is a brand, right? So, how do you approach that, and what is the starting point for the brand strategy to build itself up?
Yeah, so there's a couple of things. I do believe that branding always comes first before a
Mm.
marketing strategy because you have to understand who you are, what your origin story is, what your brand voice is, what your core values are. There is a strategy called brand archetypes. So
Mm.
there's 12 brand archetypes. I know we don't have enough time to go
No,
into, but if you
we
Google, you
have
can
time.
find.
We have time. You can at least go through that so that
Yeah,
we
yes.
know about you. This is about you. You are the brand here. So we have time. We have time. You can mention. Mm,
Yeah, so I do believe personal branding always comes first and really knowing who you are and how you
yes.
can stand out. Even the corporate companies, one of the strategies that I've seen really take off in the last, I would say, 12 to 18 months is the founder marketing,
Ah,
where the founder of the brand, maybe it's e-commerce, maybe it's a makeup company. There's a company that does it really, really well, is
mm,
I love makeup and everything to do with makeup is Huda Beauty. So she does it really well. She's built the brand pretty much from the ground up herself, and she leveraged content marketing. She leveraged the attention.
mm,
She, pretty much built it up. Like I believe she
yeah.
bootstrapped the business, if I'm correct.
Right.
And she's still the face of the brand. People still know her as, Huda Katan, who's behind the brand. And yeah, so I believe knowing who you are as a person and bringing your personality into the business is what's going to really like solve your marketing problems as well.
So adding to that point, last point that you made, Steve Jobs is the face of Apple, although he was not a technical creator of it. So the personality speaks. Apple is always connected with his personality and how he wanted Apple to be seen in the world. So your take on the founder's personality is a very strong statement, which no one else has spoken about before, because we see
Yeah.
top brands are made because of their founders, and it also collapses because of the founders. We know someone very famous also on the side of America doing it. So should have now adding to this point, should a founder become bigger than his brand, like what Elon Musk is now doing for Tesla? Does it help the brand, or does it diminish its value?
I think it depends on what the founder is doing. So
Mm.
if the founder is doing, again, not to get political, if the founder
No,
is
no,
doing
no. It's
crazy
nothing.
things,
We are not. No, no. We are not going
yeah,
to
yeah,
get
yeah.
political. It's about how he built that brand. He built it. It is here today because of him. And does it also get damaged because of him? So it can be a, like you're a very good parent and you also can crush the child
Yeah.
because of overprotectiveness or being over strict or being pampering the child too much. Either way, the brands can get affected. So how do they balance? What do you think is a right balance for a founder to cope with it, all the pressures, and still keep his brand alive and going? Like we have some brands like McDonald's, very simple marketing strategy, which has worked till today. IKEA is a good brand for value, okay, and they are very sustainable, and and they do equally good for the environment. So when we talk about brands like Toyota, they've kept the prices the same and everything. But there are brands which also utilize low labor, and which India is now fighting with Prada for taking a very simple slipper which used to cost 10 US dollars, and now if they're going to sell it in the market for 1,000 US dollars, like uh, the poor man who is using that is no longer going to get it. So this affects marginalized communities, right? So how do you think about it? This was my question about Elon also.
Yeah, so I think, there's, how do I put it? There's an audience for each product,
Mm,
whether it is, $1,000 white gold or silver clip from Tiffany, or whether it is a $10, like little hair clip
yes,
from Claire's, right?
yes, yes.
So there's a market for everything. And it's like the marketing is essentially going to be slightly different. The messaging is going to be different for the
Right.
high ticket buyer, and the messaging is going to be slightly different for the low ticket buyer. But there's always going to be a customer for that. In fact, if I give a really specific example, last year,
Mm-hmm.
the brand Hermes, if I pronounce it correctly, they,
Herme.
they
It's
have their
Herme.
Hermes. Okay, so I'm a fan. I
I
don't even
mean,
know how to pronounce it.
yeah, no, I pronounce your name wrongly now. When you go back and see, you'll know. So it happens. It's a language that, and nobody's right or nobody's wrong. People say
Exactly.
Haagen-Dazs and Haagen-Dazs and everything sells. Hyundai, Hyundai. This is all like how.
True, true.
Yes, so it's okay as long as I understand what you're telling. We are still in the conversation and communication.
Yeah. So what Hermé had to do last year, and
Mhm.
they have the exclusive Birkin bags,
Yes,
Kelly bags.
yes.
You can only buy 2 bags per year as a quota, and everything like this. And they had such high demand over the bags last
Mhm.
year that they had to raise the production. And the bags, if you go to the shop, they cost between ten to $15,000, depending on the leather that you get, going
Yes.
as high as 30, $50,000. So that just goes to show, yes, there's been a recession going on.
Mm.
Yes, some people are having a hard time paying for, their bills and stuff like that, the electricity. But there's always going to be an audience for high ticket products, whether they mess up or not, because there have been brands that have gotten canceled, right? People still buy from
Yes.
them, but it
Yes.
also depends like on your values. For example, Balenciaga. So that brand, I've seen the kind of marketing campaigns they did. It was an immediate red flag for me. I'm never going to buy anything from them, but that doesn't mean the shops are not full.
Yes, absolutely. You're right. You're right. That this also brings us to the question of how important marketing is. Um, See, I grew up understanding marketing because my father was director of marketing. And he used to tell me just one thing like your tagline, giving up is not an option. He used to tell me if someone can sell sand as gold, he's good at marketing. So that is something that has remained in me for a long time. And wherever I go, I meet people, I talk about my work, and that's the marketing I do. There is nothing external as advertisement or, on a digital space. So, how important is marketing for a product, brand, business, and its growth?
I believe marketing is everything. Branding and marketing, they go hand in hand. Good marketing
Mhm.
depends on good branding.
Yes,
And of course, there's always going to be a difference between a product that's marketed well and a product that's not marketed at all.
yes.
So whether it is done with paid advertising, whether it's done with organic strategies,
Mm.
and oh gosh, there's so many examples of good marketing and even like partnerships as well. So I'll give one specific example right now. So there is a company that I recently discovered that it's called Water Drop. So
Ah,
they produce electrolytes. Okay.
okay.
And they're now a major partner of Australian Open, which is the tennis tournament. So it's
Yes,
currently
yes.
happening. And so they've partnered with multiple tennis players, and
Mm.
I've watched the company grow over the years. One, due to their marketing, they've been running ads from what I remember, and also strategic partnerships. They've been able to partner with tennis players who also have an audience, right? So the tennis
Yes,
players, they don't necessarily market themselves because they just show up, they train well, they make
yes.
sure they climb to the top of the rankings, and
Mm.
the higher they climb, the more partnerships they get, and everybody basically benefits. But yeah, good marketing and especially strategic messaging, that's that's aligned with the pricing, that's aligned with the problems that
Yes.
product is solving, and that's aligned with the desires of that audience as well.
Mm.
I
Right.
mean, that's the winning marketing for that.
Yeah, I mean, like we have an example of Roger Federer bringing a brand which went literally below zero to climbing great heights. So that's what.
Yeah.
So apart from brand, we are talking of the face of the brand. Here, the tennis players or actors or models, they become the face of the brand. So that is also important. So now coming to that aspect of it, if let us say that somebody is modeled for a brand like Nike or something, and if they do something against values or ethics, do you think that affects the brand directly or indirectly? How important it is for the image of the person representing the brand? That's a question, actually.
Yeah, so I feel like the brand and the brand and the face of the brands, they have to align with the values, because I've seen, oh man, that's not my favorite example because I kind of do disagree with that. But there's been a partnership that I've seen actually in the tennis world that fell
Mm,
out because of the mismatch in values. So,
right.
to give a specific example, so, and I'm probably going to mispronounce the brand of the company
Doesn't
as
matter.
well. So, so Novak Djokovic lost
Yeah.
a brand partnership during COVID. It was the car company Peugeot, I think that's how
Mm,
you pronounce it,
yeah.
because he refused to get vaccinated. So I understand why they did that, but at the same time, like, well, that's just a mismatch in values, and
Yes.
it sucks that they had to drop him,
Mm,
but he stood by his moral values and they stood by theirs, and it was a mismatch, and they just ended up not working out. And I mean, today he's the face of Qatar Airways,
mm.
so I say he won in the end.
Right, right. I mean, like, um, I think one lady who refused to take vaccines, she has won a very huge money fighting her case. So sometimes with conviction, when you stand with your conviction and you're so certain about your values and ethics, I think finally that wins the day for you rather than
Yeah.
being part of something that you don't resonate with. So that's nice. Thank you so much for that question. And as the world shifts towards AI, do you think it'll affect particularly your work in the sense like content is so easy to create today. We can create an app in 10 minutes. So, what is your general opinion of AI? Because people, when they ask me, I tell that we are going to coexist very nicely. I'm not threatened greatly by AI because as long as we keep on creating, the original content is coming in any format, we are not going to be sidelined or outdated. Uh, that's not possible, at least from how where I see not within the next decade or so. So, what is your take on that?
So I do believe that it affects the social media marketing. It does
Mm,
affect, the agencies. It does affect the content creators. But at the same time, AI creates the output based
mm,
on the input that you give it. So you still have to give it the good input. So that's
right.
number one. Number two is the fact that a lot of people don't know how to use AI. So they're going to hire the people who know how to use AI, because it takes real effort and work to learn how to properly program.
Yes.
So I still see people hiring the experts and the service providers. Not to mention, the third thing that I do want to mention is the fact that AI takes the information that it knows from the internet. I believe it knows 10% of the entire internet, which is a lot, but it
Mm,
doesn't know how your brain
yeah.
thinks. So, for example, recently I did a VIP day with a client, and we built
Mm,
out her signature series. So it was a series of 4 videos that she now continues on her Instagram account so she can showcase her expertise. And she has been stuck for so long on how to create it. She said, I've used AI, I've used everything I possibly could. I couldn't figure out what to do. After a strategy session together and then a VIP day together, we pulled together, like I put together the scripts, I put
mm,
together the hooks. She showed up, she literally recorded 4 videos in less than an hour. And she was like, there's no way I would be able to do that on my own,
right.
even with AI, because she paid for my brain to be able to squeeze that information. It's for my
Right.
creativity. So I feel like these days when people use AI, they use it for the wrong reasons. They're trying to outsource their creativity. And as a content creator, as a personal brand, and I'm sure as a marketer as well, you can relate to this. Our best creative ideas come from our brains and not just from AI. Sure, you can strategize with AI. I like using AI to brainstorm the names of courses, or to polish up some of the headlines and things like that, but you still have to give it good input to get the good output, and that comes from
Right.
your brain.
You're right. Absolutely right. And recently I had this experience, I was talking to a publisher and I mean, I was talking to a chatbot. So I was not, it'll go on repeating the same answer. So I was really getting frustrated. So I didn't want to work with him. Because if you don't have the ease of connecting, the ease of work is not going to be there. And finally, we end up wasting our time, energy, and money on a wrong platform. Thank you very much for that. And what challenges do you face as a woman in today's workspace? This is about gender bias and diversity, and we are talking about equality for women. Do you think women are able to share this? They are doing the same work or even better, but are they considered equal? I mean, like I'm talking globally.
Yeah, so I know there's this stigma that women aren't getting paid as much as men. And
Mhm.
I do love the fact that when you are your own boss and you're an
Yes.
entrepreneur, you have your own offers,
Yeah.
you can claim whatever prices you want, essentially. When you have an expertise,
Yes.
when your IQ, your EQ is
Mhm.
higher than a lot of men's, you do deserve to get paid more. So I do love the fact that we can do that in entrepreneurship, because in the regular job market, I
Yes.
know that women do get paid less
Yes.
still, despite being brilliant.
Yes.
So for me personally, every single time I work with women, and if we work on pricing, I do challenge them to price a little bit higher, because I mean, and despite what it is that you're charging right now, if you're listening to this, on the replay or
Yes.
whatever, you're probably undercharging, because I can guarantee you can go to LinkedIn,
Mm.
find some men who literally, and like I found this about last year, so I was really wondering about my pricing, right? I was looking at
Mm.
my 60 minutes
Mm.
consulting coaching calls, and I was like, oh, I wonder if I'm underpricing or if I'm charging too high. Lo and behold, I go to LinkedIn and I found an expert. Now he's a true expert at what he does.
Mm.
His pricing is completely worth it, in my opinion. He was
Huh.
charging multiple four figures for 60
Wow.
minutes of his time.
Wow. That is important. Because it is called opportunity cost. Like,
Yeah.
why should I be speaking to you as a client or to the another client? It depends on who values my time and pays accordingly. That's very important. It's value.
Yeah.
Value for your work, value for your time, value for your effort is very important. That's the price they pay actually. It is not so much for the knowledge they're receiving, but that you're sitting with the right person who's going to guide you in a right way, shortening all the pitfalls and weaknesses. And that's why he's called an expert professional, right? Thank you so much for that question. What are your passions and how do you find time for your passions or hobbies? And how do you balance between work and life? And what's a general take on that?
Oh, I love that question. For the longest of time, I've always been like work, 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 all about work. I love traveling, so that's been, kind of a hobby, I guess, in a way. So every couple months, I would, go on a trip. Even if it's a business trip, I still consider that,
Yes.
like partially trip for fun, because you change your environment and everything. Last year, in 2025, I picked up a hobby,
Mm-hmm.
kind of by a friend's recommendation. So I started reading fiction books, and
Wow.
oh gosh, I haven't read fiction books probably since school, because we
Mhm.
used to read a lot. And I'm Russian, so I learned, like, I read all the classic Russian
Right.
literature, which is incredible. And
Right.
then after that, I was just like, I went into reading nonfiction books, personal development, self
Mm.
help. And then after a while, every single one of them was kind of the same. They essentially give you the same, information,
Yeah.
or the
Yeah.
same, motivational nudge. And I was like, okay, that's actually not relaxing, because I would take a
Mm.
break from work. I'm like, oh, I'm going to put my computer down and I'm going to read a book about business. So it's
Oh,
like, it wasn't really a hobby. So
right.
last year I was like, okay, let me change that, because for about 5 years I haven't read anything, because I got just so burnt out. I was
Mhm.
like, I just don't want to read it. It was boring. Not a single book would be, good. So I went to listen to podcasts. Now, last year, going back into fiction books, I was like, oh, it actually improved my creativity. I
Right.
learned a lot of vocabulary. I learned so many new words just by reading different books. And I read, like, by fiction books, I mean like fantasy books. I read science fiction. I've read contemporary romances, like mostly romance books,
Mhm.
just to get my brain off the business, and to, just to do something for myself, right? So
Absolutely.
I try to balance it out. I mean, last year I read, I think, 61 books.
Wow.
So it was, yeah, it was, some of them were 1,000 pages, some of them were
Mm.
200 pages, so it was like balancing it out. So that's like what, 5 books on average per month. This year I think I already read 7. And then the personal development books, I'm reading them on like on audio essentially, because I kind of, like I enjoy them this way now. But yeah, I try to dedicate some time during the day. Like if I, completed a task, I'm like, okay, I'm going to read a chapter as a reward. Because that way I can kind of like not just stay stuck on,
Yes,
a 2 hour long project or whatever, and then like take a break. And then in the evening I usually spend some time reading as well. So yeah, so literally in the last year I feel like every little pocket of time that I've had, I've been reading, because what else have I been doing before? I've been doom scrolling or content researching on TikTok or Instagram, and like the whole scrolling, it just gets like
yes.
like you
Fries your
essentially
brain.
lose
It
your,
just fries your brain.
yeah, it fries your brain. Like you
Yes,
kind of
it
turn
does.
into a goldfish. So I feel for me as well, reading fiction, yes, it's been a great hobby, but it also like re-taught me how to keep my attention focused on something for a long period of time. So
Absolutely.
highly recommend it.
No, it's I used to be a fiction reader for very long, and then I shifted to nonfiction. I started writing nonfiction actually, and now I'm trying how to write fiction. But I'm taking a course on creative writing and fiction. What happens in fiction is you have to imagine for the reader. Like if I'm passing through the tunnel, you have to feel it, not me. So you're actually writing for others to feel the experience that you are imagining. And that's why fiction sells and fiction makes a lot of money and fiction is so important. And that is where the levels of writing comes also because it gets weighed based on how much creative you can become. And any closing words, Elena? Because it was wonderful, absolutely enlightening, enriching, and evolving talking to you. And I really didn't expect that we are going to have such fun. And you've dispensed my doubts. And your tagline will always be with me. Never giving up is never an option. That's thank you very much for that. So that
You're absolutely welcome.
that is the take of an inspiring woman. That speaks about why you can inspire others. Really, that it has been a wonderful half an hour just flew past us, and I'm looking forward to discussing more with you because after speaking to you now, I think we have got a lot of common avenues that we can even think about and work together because my work also involves connecting with people in business. So we might have some very good opportunities if we really spend time and work on it. It's now the world is very, it has literally shrunk because of online work and everything is possible. We live past the time zones and everything is possible for us. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode. I wish you the best for 2026 and keep your books counting. We'll have our episode in January 2027 again. Thank you so much for joining, Jelena. Bye bye from EvaraVoices. Thank you.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you.